What maybe is either cause or concern? You're going to play 4 weeks out of 5 on the road. So what's as a coach, and I know you had some of these players, but not all of them together.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think we're going to get tested this weekend. I think this past weekend, it was just a blessing to play in front of the 12th man, for the 12th man to show up the way they did. It's what I feel like Davis Diamond should look like every weekend. And so now it's time we kind of got our feet underneath us this weekend. We obviously had some tough matchups, but I thought overall played solid. Obviously having some things that we need to work on, but now it's being on the road 2 weekends in a row. We're going to go coast to coast, Florida, then California. And so now we're going to test the waters a little bit of just what that's going to feel like. How do I think communication is going to be the key on the field and those relationship pieces. And so we had talked a little bit about how I have focused in on making sure that our team chemistry and kind of those, just those relationships on and off the field are important, because we're going to go test it. And we have a lot of players that play in different spots this year. We have some new players. Talon's playing second base for the first time in her career. Wark's been hurt most of her career, so hasn't played as much first base, and our outfield is very, new and fresh. So I think that piece is going to make or break us this weekend.
And I would assume leadership is more important on the road, and I know you played 5 games and you had some fall schedule. Is this a team that, long on leadership by standard, could use some more? What about leadership?
Yeah, I think leadership overall in this generation is hard. If I'm being very honest, they are so concerned with you not being likable or hurting somebody's feelings. I'll go on a tangent, but we used to fight and then be done with it, and now it turns into these long things that everybody has it on social media, and it stays up there permanently, right? Like when you and I had a beef when we were growing up, we had a beef, there was nothing, and it was over and done with. And so so I think that part is always hard for them and complicated. So what we talk about is maybe not being a leadership, but being a leader, but somebody who is being a good example, somebody who is communicating, somebody who is out there always representing our standard and clamp. And part of that is some of those leadership qualities, right? What are our traits? And so you might be really good at connecting with these type of players. So I need you to help us rally these people. Kay might be really good with this group. And so it's really important that we have a core group that can connect to different types of people, because that's what makes us great, and being able to bring those people along. And so I think for me, that's why I'm having a lot of conversations with Mya. Coach Harger talks to her quite a bit. Wark, Talon, KK, AK, Lessentine, like just a little bit of everybody. Frankie, I think for us, it's getting them to understand how to get out of their comfort zone. They are so infatuated with that stupid square thing. And so I've challenged a couple of them, like, you're gonna go and you need to go have coffee with a teammate, or, whatever it is, a drink, iced coffee or whatever the energy drinks are. And they don't do that anymore. Whereas that's all I know, right? We didn't have anything else except our ability to talk face to face. So it's been good, because some of them, we have a lot of quiet kids, if I could be honest with you. Like Mya's not really outgoing. She is outgoing when she knows you, but like when she first meets somebody, she's gonna like take in the situation. And I think we have a team full of that, of really hardworking players. And so now it's challenging them to have a voice on the field. It's almost like you have to have a second personality out on the field, and then you can be who you normally are, in everyday life. But when you're out on that field, there is an expectation and a demand of this is how you're going to play.
Y'all were really good on the road last year. Can you kind of just talk about that group of returners and experiencing that, and then knowing that they can go out and do that same thing?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with sticking with the plan. And that's not coach speak, but I mean understanding this is our process, this is how we execute it, and it really doesn't matter where we are, what day it is, what time it is. The standard is the standard. And so I think that group that just graduated, and then obviously ours that are returning, they went through it. We played one of the hardest schedules you could have played last year, and they won on the road, at home, in neutral sites. And so that's something that I'm hoping that as we move forward, it really isn't a thing. When we first got here, that was a thing. We did not win on the road. And really, it's just about a process. Like, can you execute this? And it doesn't really matter what inning it is, where you're, like I said, if you're at Davis or if you're at, Clearwater, it's being able to execute in high leverage situations. And so that's why practice is so hard. I want practice to be really hard so that when it happens in a game, you've already done that 100 million times in your head, and it comes second nature.
Micaela said she was working with Harder on defensive stuff already this morning. Just kind of speak in that regard and just trying to clean up, and even if it was some jitters or.
Yeah, I think Mick, just impressed with her, and she's having some success, and that's a part. That's why I coach. Is yes, you want to see them be successful, but what you really want to see is their ability to put in hard work when people are not watching, and it come to fruition. And it's starting to come. You're starting to see that with her, and now she wants to do even more. And that's just kind of who she is, and that's what you want them to learn from this game, is what hard work and dedication and sacrifice, what that turns into in life. And so Mick, I think one of first thing this morning Coach Ruger said was, Mick's texting me, she wants to work on, a couple of things. And I'm like, and he goes, I love it. Like, how do you not as a coach want to go out there with a kid that just had probably one of the best weekends across the country, and she's the first one texting you, hey, can we work on X, And so that's what greatness looks like. That's when I say, I want you to chase greatness. That's what that looks like. And so excited. I think this weekend we did have some defensive errors that were not on my bingo card. So that's something that we're going to have to address. And obviously there's some things that we need to tidy up. And really, I felt like most of them were just communication ones. We had a couple physical errors. They're going to happen. But we did have more mental errors than I thought we should have. So something that we will obviously keep working on.
Micaela sort of dealt us on her whole injury history, the double torn ACLs, menisci, all that stuff. Just how impressive is it that she's here, right?
Yeah.
So many years later.
Yeah, it's a blessing. I think, that's how she looks at it, is that she has this last year, this opportunity to make the most of it, and she's making the most of it. That's how you got to live life, though. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. So she's like, hey, let's get out, let's get after it, let's rock and roll. I've had 4 ACLs. I'm very aware of what that does to your body. I probably have 2 more that are torn again, but I'm too old to deal with it. But, when you get your body in shape and you're strong and, do some things, I think good things happen. I mean, Lindsey Vaughn, isn't that her name? The skier that doesn't have an ACL either. And I know she crashed, but she didn't crash because of the ACL. She took a turn too quick or something, right? Yeah. So I think, it always comes back to work, preparation. That's what it always comes back to. But she's a neat story.
And going back to the chemistry thing, just how, vital is it, therefore, to have these experiences of going on the road to Florida, to California, planes, buses, hotels, stuff like that, for the girls to really mesh? Yeah,
every level that I've coached, so I've coached anywhere from 14 and under, obviously to this level, even, with USA softball, they all talk about the first road trip. That's where we bond, that's where things get together. So for me, it's important that we get on the road quickly, because I want them to experience that and just the different, how the day's set up and how it runs. And it's just a lot more connectivity, I would say, with your teammates on the road. When you're here, you have your own space, your own people, your own routine. When you're on the road, we do almost everything, together. So for me, it's important to get on the road quickly, see what it looks like and feels like, and go from there.
And that being said, you've said several times you thrive on being the underdog, but in these 5 games this week, you're going to be the higher ranked. You're going to be the one that the coaches are going to tell their teams, hey, if we beat A&M,
yep.
So how do you handle that role?
Oh, I always find ways to be the underdog, yeah. I feel like I live life with a chip on my shoulder, so I think there's always ways. And we still have last year as a really large chip on our shoulder, so that will always, drive us. But I think the other part of this is we also have to learn, and this is something, again, referring back to last year, is how to play or go into games as the top, the higher ranked team? And what does that look like? How do you play with people always chasing you? So I think when we took over this program, we were always the chaser, and now we are being chased, and that's a different conversation. And so that's something that I have to work really hard with our group of what that looks like and feels like. And really, it's the same thing. Like, go out and execute. It's not, it's not rocket science, but I find ways that if somebody does something that, I have Hef on my staff. He finds something that, they've done us wrong.
What about no Taylor Brown? I guess, you talked about pitches going in and just, we didn't see her on the, probably should ask on Sunday, but
Yeah.
it's too early in the morning. So,
Amen, Cease. I felt that. I feel like, I feel like just not the right opportunity came up for her. She's going to throw some live to our hitters tomorrow. I want to keep her fresh. There was, I really wanted to get Taylor Pinnell, honestly, in that Tech game, and it just, I'm a matchup girl, this, and I'm always going to look out for the best thing for our program, and so now we still have her in our back pocket, and they haven't seen her. So there's some good and bad with that. So I think with Taylor, she'll get some opportunities this year, and obviously this weekend just didn't pan out.
Micaela, a little added pressure coming off a great weekend, facing your former team. It's going to be a little tough. Feel a little more pressure, maybe?
I think starting the season, I was it was hard on me just because I hadn't played defense in so long, and so I'd been thinking about it for a while now. And after the first game, honestly, even against Tech, I felt more comfortable, and with the help of my teammates and stuff and just talking to them through at bats, I felt more comfortable, and I'm just going to treat playing them like any other game. I still have a lot of friends in the dugout, and so I'm excited to see them and proud that I graduated from there. But yeah.
Did your start even surprise you or not in 5 games?
No, I wouldn't say surprise me, just because all fall they had kind of talked to me about hitting behind Mya, just because unfortunately she doesn't get pitched a lot of good pitches, and so being behind her makes it a little bit easier for me but harder for other teams. And so I knew I was going to hit, and me and Mya have both been playing first base, and so depending on who they choose that day, but yeah.
Mya, that was going to be my question for you. It's only been 5 games, small sample, but do you feel teams are pitching even more around you? And I know it's only 5, but you went through all that last year. How about that?
Yeah, I feel like last year they pitched a lot to me because, Mac was right behind me, so of course, or the other way around too, it was flipped. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I saw a lot of good pitches last year. This year is a little bit different, kind of getting pitched around too a lot of change-ups, a lot of 3 balls outside. But I'm just taking my walks, honestly, just doing the best I can do for my team.
How do you not get frustrated at that, though?
Getting on base, I take that as a win every single time, no matter how I get on base, honestly. Maybe the first game, I was a little bit dang, but it's whatever. I'm getting on base, and then Mick can score me in, Talon, KK, everyone can score me in, so I take it as a win.
Sorry.
No, you did, go for it.
What do you remember about the Oklahoma State game last year, obviously facing her and Talon? Are you just glad to have them on your team now?
Yeah, it's so much easier with them on our team. But yeah, it was a tough game, honestly, that game. It didn't go our way, but I feel like we fought, so hopefully we play them this time and we get that win.
And then has there been a small sample size, or maybe just this week, on just defensive miscues for either of y'all, just trying to clean those up and making sure they are good this weekend?
Yeah, definitely working on those. I think, like I said, nerves were high, and I hadn't been out there in a couple years. Talon hadn't been on the right side very often, and so yeah, I worked this morning with Harger on pop flies. That's how I tore both my ACLs on pop flies, and so I think that had something to do with it. And so just focusing on catching the ball and not everything around me. I think I kind of get wrapped up in what's surrounding me when the ball's in the air and think of a million different things. And so luckily I have the coaches that understand that and give me grace with that. And yeah, they have been working with me and talking through things like that. So yeah.
follow up on that about the two torn ACL. Just how did that happen? And then on top of that, like how hard is it to sort of regain trust in your knees to get back out there?
Yeah, so the first one was a pop fly that was more shallow, and I collided with the catcher, and she kind of like dove in, clipped my knee, and went out from there. Second one, honestly, I think I was just playing on bad turf and misstepped and fell and ended up breaking my arm with it. And so rehab back was hard, but at OSU I didn't do a ton of defense after I tore my meniscuses in my second year. And so honestly, I don't think it was addressed the way it should have been, like head on, like I'm doing right now. And so like I said, just working with the coaches and talking through that, and yeah, I'm lucky that they understand and still work with me on it.
How long do you think it took you to sort of reestablish burst and speed and strength in the legs?
After my surgeries?
Yeah.
A while. My first one happened, and then I played 5 games, and my next one happened. So I was out plus COVID, so I was probably out not playing competitively for like a solid 2.5 years. And plus my redshirt year, so that took time. And so yeah, I took up all that time. Honestly, I don't think I built up the strength I needed, and I think that's why at OSU I struggled so much with my knees, just because after tearing an ACL, you need to get your knees stronger, your quads stronger, and I didn't really get to that point, and so I was in a lot of pain. And then I got here, and they were really good about putting me in PT, which at first I thought was crazy because I'm like three years post-op, and they got me stronger. But I understand now because my DEXA scans show that my legs are stronger than ever, and I'm moving better, and I just feel more like an athlete here and better than I felt in a long time.
And so with that, being able to contribute the long ball this weekend, just how good did it feel to be out there and really play at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, it felt great. I think the fall was hard on all of us, but being with the team finally together, we had been scrimmaging for so long that it was tough, and especially facing, you guys saw our staff this weekend, it's like very diverse, and they all come at you with different speeds and strengths, and I'm really glad I don't have to hit off of Sid Peters, hopefully ever again. But yeah, it was really exciting to get to play with the team and get out there.
So COVID year, was that 21, 21?
21, so it was my senior year.
21 in high school?
Yes.
Oh, in high school, okay.
Yeah.
In high school, so that was like, you missed basically your senior year in high school then?
Yeah, so I missed my junior year because my ACL, senior year because of COVID, and then ended up redshirting the rest of my freshman year because of my knee.
Freshman year at LSU?
No, I actually went to Kansas, and then I transferred to Oklahoma State after that.
Okay, so no problems at Oklahoma State missing time?
I played 1 year, and then my second year I went for a backhand. I tore my meniscus and kept playing on that, and then at OU, it's so embarrassing. I hit a home run, and I stomped on home plate, and I tore my other one. And so, yeah. And
wow.
So that summer, I had back-to-back knee surgeries that were like 6 weeks apart. And then last year, fielding, my coach was just like, I'm gonna cut that one out. And so I was strictly DH and like didn't practice defense. So, yeah.
So you have injuries everywhere, basically, high school. And
yeah. Yeah.
For Mya, just playing a #1 team like Tech so early in the season, and you have 2 more top 25 teams coming up. Just how nice is that to kind of have that experience under your belt and then know you're capable of hanging with them the entire game?
Yeah, I feel like I already knew that we're going to be able to hang with them just being with this group of girls and this coaching staff. But, like going out there and like actually fighting and like playing against the #1 team, like us being like so like close to them and like kind of like barely almost beating them, like that shows a lot of fight that we have, and that helps us get prepared for the hard games that are ready to come our way.
Since you're a returner, Mya, facing your own pitchers last year, let's say, going into the season, and facing the pitchers this year, what do you think is different about the pitching staff from last year?
Our pitching staff?
As a whole, yeah. Just not individuals, but just what do you think?
As a whole, I feel like they work 100 times harder. They are always working, whether it's in the weight room or on the field, pitching, running, working with Coach Ford and Gianna. I could see how much grit that they're putting in and how much fight, and I'm so excited to see how far they're gonna get, because they're gonna get us there for sure.
How about facing their stuff? You see anything different in their stuff from last year? I mean, you know, you had Emily at Levitt, I guess, and you had, you know, a healthy Peters, I guess, maybe she wasn't. So what about facing their stuff about last year versus this year?
I feel like we're more versatile, like with Taylor Pinnell coming in with that changeup, and then you have Bo Sidneys with rise balls. Like, they're untouchable, honestly, especially when they're together.